Welcome back to the Present Fathers Podcast. Our guest in this episode is a husband, father, former Marine, and entrepreneur. He is a man with incredible discipline and drive, and someone I learned a great deal from over the course of this episode. His name is Steve Eckert. I'm confident that you're going to learn a great deal from him as well, and I'm excited to share this episode with you. We talk about being present and intentional daily, and how boundaries are an essential tool you must implement both for yourself and for others. Along those lines, we also cover how important it is to keep promises to yourself, and breaking your promises to yourself is a dangerous road. We talk about reading and how the pursuit of knowledge is essential for your growth. In addition, we also cover how you need to embrace your flaws, embrace your failures, and from that point, you can move towards growth. It's about the journey, not the destination. We talk about establishing family rituals and creating a strong family vision. And finally, we talk about the balance between selflessness and selfishness. This delicate balance is something most people struggle to find, but Steve has excellent advice on how to make this a reality for you. Before you start the episode, please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. It really helps get our message out to more people who need to hear this. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you never miss an episode. Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Steve Eckert to the Present Fathers Podcast. Steve, welcome. How are you, man?
What's up, brother? Looking forward to the conversation. I think these type of deeper level conversations between men don't happen enough. We suffer in silence so often, and we don't have these type of things. So looking forward to it. I could do this stuff all day.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm pumped to get you on. This is our first chance to actually talk together, but I've heard a lot about you from people I respect and know very well. And I'm excited to actually get into your story, your expertise, and share it with our audience tonight. So why don't you start with a little bit who you are, tell us about your family and kind of your background, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, sure. So first, don't believe all the shit that people are telling you about you. I don't know if it's true or not, but yeah, I'm just a regular guy that's severely imperfect and that screws shit up along the way, but somehow always tries to figure it out and has confidence in my ability to figure it out. And then I just try to show and teach the lessons that I learn along the way to other men that I think are probably, as I've seen, are on the same path and need that type of help and guidance. So I'm really just, as I'm on this journey through life on this planet, is trying to share the experiences I have and the wisdom that I've learned and gained from the different areas that I've been working in, and share it with other men. I come from a family in New York. I'm the youngest of 6 kids and had a zero relationship with my father. And as much as my parents stayed married until my father died, my mother's still alive, but they were married for, I don't even know, 60, 70 years and never had a single conversation with my father. And I lived in the house until I was 19, until I left for the Marine Corps. And I mean, not a single conversation, never showed me how to change a tire of a car, never sat on the floor and played Legos with me, never threw a football to me, nothing. He was just a mentally, physically, emotionally abusive alcoholic. And I lived in that life as just a ghost. And I look back now and I could say, oh, boo-hoo, poor little me. But then I look at that suffering and that type of life, and I choose to take it, like I said, learning through this process of life and this journey, and take it and turn that suffering into a superpower. So take those ways of being left alone for days and months and weeks and just ignore it as a ghost. And that's what makes me who I am today. That's what gives me the discipline today, where I could sit alone in a room. I could go to Vegas on a trip by myself and not have to worry about getting into some stupid trouble with vices and alcohol and women and all this other stuff. I'm used to being alone. I can sit there alone and I'll build a business in a night in a hotel room in Vegas while everyone else out going and getting drunk and losing all their money. So I choose to take that suffering and turn it into a superpower, that adversity, and find the advantage in it. And I'll find the bright side of everything. There's not much that can bring me down. Like, what could someone really say to you when you've been down that road and you have a darkness inside of you? Like, I see a superpower also, that I'm bullshit bulletproof. I deal with hate every day on the internet for people who don't know what they're talking about. And it's like a joke. It's like we laugh about it in our house. My kids show me stuff and we get some entertainment from it. So it's taking all that bullshit and using it to your advantage, weaponizing all the bad things that happen to you in life. And even not just weaponizing, not just getting over it and dealing with it, but then even almost monetizing it. Like, I'm literally get paid to be an asshole in most of the coaching for the businesses I do. Of course, I have higher level coaching where it's a different story, but there's certain programs I'm literally paid to show up and just be an asshole. Sometimes I don't even know what the workshop is, the program. They say, just go in and do your thing. And I just show up and do my thing. but that's what those people need in that specific closed environment. But I'm just using that. Yeah, I have rage and anger and darkness from the past. So to be able to take that and use it to help other men, it's freaking awesome. It's a life of freedom, really, when it comes down to it.
Yeah, man. I love that perspective. And, I guess we're going to get real deep real quick here. In our society today, it's like victimhood is like celebrated, right? You're rewarded for having more victim boxes you can check, right? And the more that people can feel sorry for you, it's like the more credit you get, in a sense. Not really, but that's the way it appears. And, I guess my first question with your story was, did someone teach you how to overcome those things? Was it someone who played a role in your life that helped you just be who you are then? Or was it just, that was a choice you made and just kind of drove on?
I mean, I'm still learning along the way, but there were different, you could say maybe mentors along the way, but probably not till later in life. My brother was always at least someone who would look out for me and help me out. And he was on his own journey, and he eventually went to the Marine Corps also and became a cop and helped me get into the Marine Corps as well. So I would say he was the first one that kind of at least had my back a little bit, even though he had his own fucked up times as well, but he had my back and helped me out. After that, I'd say it was really, of course, in the Marine Corps, just basic training in boot camp. You start learning about discipline, and really those lessons don't even hit until years later. So after I got out and you start going back, you're like, holy shit. Like it starts clicking. You resent stuff while you're going through it. And then you realize as an adult, wow, what lessons were in there. Even just the simplest little things, the attention to detail and the structuring and the scheduling and the timing and being early and on time and all these other things. And you realize how invaluable those are in running a business and running a family. And you don't appreciate it usually until years later. So I'd say that there were definitely mentors in boot camp. I had mentors along the way. Then when I got out and started my own personal training business, I had clients who were mentors. One of my first personal training clients that when I went on my own outside of a gym, he ran a business online, or one of the original kind of online businesses. This is 2002 probably. And he was making millions of dollars selling these self-defense videos online. And he would just get massive hate for it, that he's a fraud and all this other stuff. But he was running a massive business. Of course, when you get success, people get pissed off and they would just hate on him. And he paved the way and helped me and taught me about business and marketing and dealing with the bullshit online. And we're talking, this is 20 years ago. So the stuff that goes on nowadays is like, oh, another day at the office. Oh no, someone that doesn't know me, that never had a conversation with me, never met anyone that I know, doesn't like me and hates me. It's like nothing. It bounces right off you. So there were definitely mentors along the way. And then I've hired coaches and even just guys like you, just watching and tuning into positive people and podcasts and positive interactions, even with people I've never met. So you could learn from books. Those are mentors that are dead, that are still mentoring to me this day. As I read every single day, I'll read a minimum of 60 minutes a day and listen to audiobooks every day when I'm going to the gym, on the way back from the gym, in the shower, brushing my teeth, like always getting mentors in one way or another. I need as much help as I can get. I'm as fucked up as they come, and I understand that. And I'll get mentors anywhere I can. You're mentors. Everyone I watch online that has similar podcasts to yours, those are our mentors. Like I can't imagine, like I don't know any successful people that I know that are negative, that go and scroll and troll the internet, talking shit to people and be like, oh, you're a loser, you're a fake. Like they don't have time for that. Like if I'm on the internet and I see something I don't like or something that I think is just stupid, it's like, oh, that's so stupid. Oh, guess what? I'm going to go on to the next thing. I'm going to go live my life and I'm going to keep being awesome. And I'm going to probably, instead of putting that comment, I might go hug my kids instead. How about that for that 1 second that I could have put some stupid comment? So gentlemen like you are mentors also, remotely even.
Yeah, it's a great point, man. And I'll let Brandon jump in. He's Mr. Books, always learning. He's definitely rubbed off on me and helped me improve there. But I just want to reiterate that perspective of always learning. And you've stated it multiple times, right? You're messed up. You've got failures. You've got flaws. And it's not an act. Like you're just owning who you are. And that's all any of us can really do, right? And so just to the guys out there listening, if you're hearing this, it's okay to not be perfect, right? Perfection is never the goal. It's just progress. It's impossible to actually be perfect. And, Steve, I love just how blunt you are about that up front, because I think we live in an age where everyone's putting on their best face for the world, right? On social media. It's just a snapshot of how perfect their life is. And in reality, there's probably a lot of stuff messed up behind the scenes. And so for you to just be so candid with that, I think is a great example, and we should normalize that more often. And so I just appreciate you being that way already. So Brandon, take it away. I know you've probably got a lot.
Yeah. So I want to start with the books. What was one of the most significant books that you've read that's changed you the most, and why did it change you? What was it that impacted you the most in that book?
Oh my God, so many of them, but I wish I could say it was the Bible, and I'm not. I started getting into that now a little bit later in life. I was we were into religion when I was a kid, but I never really accepted it, got into it, and I am starting to now because I want to continue to learn and be open-minded. So just literally the last couple, like 1 year, I started getting into I want to at least learn from it. Whether or not I have the exact beliefs of everything, I want to learn from it. But when it comes to books, I'd say some of my top, I remember Psycho-Cybernetics was one of my ones back that really started changing my mind, the way my mind worked. And this was 7, 8, 9 years ago. Napoleon Hill has great books, but most people talk about like Think and Grow Rich, or whatever. But for me, it was Outwitting the Devil. Like that one was so much deeper and from a different perspective, a whole different way of thinking. It was so far ahead of its time. Like think about it. Think about that book. It was written in like the 1920s and didn't get released until like I don't even know, like 2000 something, because it was so
like
controversial.
2008 or something. Like I'm reading it right now, and like the whole first chapter is like, this could be me. Like this book could literally be, it's like he wrote it's insane how eerie it was. But already just in that first chapter, I'm like, holy, my mind is just blown. Right. So that's a great recommendation. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, one of my top books of all time. And yeah, imagine he was around nowadays, or back then there was an internet back then when he wrote that book and he released it back then. Oh my, he'd be torched. The haters would be all over it. Like, but then look, fast forward 100 years, and it's like this motherfucker had like a crystal ball, because he's like talking about today's society. It's crazy. The opposition and the devil that's out to get you and out to drag you down is every time you're trying to do something right. Such a cool book. And if you haven't listened to it, reading it's great too, but that's one of the ones, usually I like reading a book better than listening. That's one you need to listen to also. Like that is an awesome listen. They have a different voice for the devil that he's interviewing. And I don't know if you've listened to it or not.
I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm going to. It's on I just wrote it down for my list for sure.
I'm doing the audiobook, and it's cool.
But that sentiment, as far as like how society reacts to traditional wisdom, is so spot on, because a lot of people these days, they try to figure out this new age idea or ideology, and they're disregarding conventional wisdom that was learned the hard way, that you could be learning vicariously through, and they're just chalking off as old or traditional. And it's like they're missing so much. And the one thing I always tell people is, when you read something that somebody spent their whole life on, you're literally absorbing a life of work in hours. And it's like sitting on a gold mine. So I love reading books. I read a couple every week. And like you said, anytime I get a chance to do an audiobook, I try to do that. So that's very encouraging. And one of the things I do when I read books is mostly just for self-improvement, right? The self-help, the knowledge, the wisdom that's passed down. So as far as self-improvement is concerned, what's the most crucial thing that you would say allows that to happen, that fosters self-improvement?
I think it's subduing your ego and realizing that you're not a know-it-all. When I had my businesses, I had gyms in New York, and for the first several years, I just thought, like, I don't need to do any promotions. I never ran a sale or a marketing campaign or funnels. I thought they were all stupid and useless, and only people who couldn't or weren't good at what they were doing had to sell them. And then I'm struggling, and the business is doing okay, and I'm doing everything myself, and realizing I'm not going to do it myself. I need to ask for help. I need to stop suffering in silence, thinking I'm a know-it-all. So subduing the ego and operating with some humility to realize there are, like you said, a book. I could read a book of 300 pages of someone that is a million times smarter and more successful than me. That's 3 decades, 5 decades of knowledge in 300 pages. And I could learn that from you. Like, sign me the fuck up. I need every bit of help I can get. Trust me. So it's subduing that ego and being open-minded. And going a little deeper, being willing to go deeper into a topic or a subject, not seeing, like, let's go back to it's what's fresh going on right now. So that's why I keep going back to it. A 15-second video on the internet, and then thinking everything about that situation when it's a 15-second video. Like, it's crazy. I had a video I put about my son's name is Tyson, and my old pit bull's dog was named Tyson also. But we were doing a video, and I forget what it was about. Somehow Santa Claus came up in the video. We were talking on some live video. It was like a 30-second video. And I'm saying something about how Tyson still believes in Santa Claus, so don't let the cat out, whatever. It was a joke. some guy comments like, yeah, I dare you to say that to Mike Tyson's face. He'll knock you the fuck out. You're a fake. You're a fraud. You should go die. I'm like, people they just see one little thing and they have to jump in because they're so short-sighted and not open-minded, and they need to subdue their egos and be more open-minded and realize what the fuck is even going on around them. They're stuck in this. They're asleep at the wheel, stuck in this little funnel with these like goggles on where they're not even aware of the world around them, and they'll just jump right in and all this and talk all this shit. And he's talking about, it was nothing about Mike Tyson. I was telling you, my son still believed in Santa Claus, and this guy's giving me death threats because I would never say that to Mike Tyson's face. It made no sense. So being more open-minded, not being like that, subduing your ego, go a little deeper into it, and back into the book topic, because I'm a huge reader and love reading and trying to educate myself, is Stoic philosophy is another one of the topics that I would say I read something of Stoic philosophy literally every single day, 7 days a week, read it, listen to it, study it, go over and over again. And that helps you deal with this stuff. Like, you look into it and there's entire books and chapters and essays written on what other people think of you and dealing with it. Like, these are motherfuckers 2,000 years ago in robes and a sandal teaching you how to deal with haters on the internet. It's like brilliant. So you read this stuff, you're like, oh, so this stuff's been going on for a while. This isn't just new since MySpace and Facebook came around. This has been going on since the Roman Empire. Like, it's nothing new. It's just humans being humans again. So I'll deal with it. They're under the same sun and stars that were under 2,000 years ago. They've dealt with it before. This is nothing new. So subduing your ego, not letting your feelings get hurt, not taking shit personal. And I'd say knowing who you are is also another way to go towards self-improvement. And it makes you not, that bullshit bounce off you, but also keeps you focused and on track and in alignment. Knowing who you are, knowing what you stand for, knowing what you're about, knowing what your superpowers are, what your strengths are, being aware of your weaknesses. And that helps you just stay so focused and on track and get better every single day when it comes to self-improvement. Like, having some pride in who the fuck you are and not pretending, like you were talking about the what goes on the internet. So having a good sense and self-awareness of who the hell you are. So that's another topic too right there in books. So Stoic philosophy, emotional intelligence are things I'll like dig into and read every day. And if you told me 10, 15 years ago that I'd be a bookworm and a nerd reading about Stoic philosophy and emotional intelligence, I'll just tell you were a crackhead. But that's like game-changing stuff right there. Like, that's everything when it comes to that type of mind frame.
Yeah, I'd like to just add a distinction too about knowing who you are. And I've made this point before, but you can't ignore what's happened to you. You need to be very aware of that stuff. And there's a difference between diagnosing and assessing, like, okay, because these things have happened or because of these mistakes, I now have to mitigate it in this way or whatever. That's not victimhood. Victimhood is what you were saying. Oh, I could be, woe is me. These things were so pitiful. But I think a lot of people go too far to the other way, right? They just pretend that nothing happened. It's like, well, now you're basically going through life with blinders on, because you're probably still repeating the same behaviors, still, in survival mode, making the same mistakes, and have no idea why things keep happening to you. It's probably because you never dealt with the root cause. So I think there's a lot of value in kind of just assessing comprehensively strengths and weaknesses, mistakes, all that kind of stuff. Because you got to know where you are today so that you know how to start moving to your destination, right? If you can't self-locate first, there's no way to start navigating forward. So hopefully you would agree with that. But I think that's pretty fundamental when it comes to self-growth or self-improvement.
I think men's work is always in the pain. Men's work is always in the suffering and the hardship. Like, that's where our work is. That's where we're built. We're also meant to deal with that stuff, not to crumble under that pressure. That's why we're made the way we're made. It's what God made us men, is to deal with that. Deal with the pain, deal with the struggle, deal with the stress and hardship. Like, that's our job, to be the protector and shield our people from that, and be the sponge that takes the beating for our people. And it's our men's work is always in the pain.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown, as they say.
Oh yeah.
So I think one of the things that goes under the radar is like self-worth, right? Men have to create not just an identity, but they have to be able to create a self-worth for themselves. And that includes keeping promises, mostly to themselves. So let's jump into that. Should a man keep a promise to himself?
Glad you brought that up. I actually have a card right here. It's a creed of one of the programs we do, and you can't see it there. If I go close, literally the top line says, "I'm a man of my word. I make a promise and I keep it." And this is in front of me 24 hours a day right here on my desk. It's like a tin platinum card, whatever. And hell yeah, that's where it all starts, because I'm not a big tree hugging woo woo motherfucker, but I'm a believer that, Like if you go and tell your kids to go do something and then you go and do the opposite, even if they're not around. Like I have a story about you're not allowed to wear shoes in our house. You don't wear shoes in our house. But one time, me and my family were going to hiking, and I had my shoes buckled up, like high top, those hiking boots, and on tight, cinched up. And I realized I forgot something in the house. I go run in the house. I'm running up the stairs with the boots on. This was 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, probably. My daughter's like, "Daddy, your shoes." And I'm like, "Oh, I just got to grab the thing. We're going to be late. We're going to meet people for the hike. We got to get going." It's right there up in my office. I could see it sitting on my. She's like, "No, shoes." And she was like 2 or 3 years old. And I'm like, fuck. Like, so I have to unbuckle the shoes. I got to go upstairs, get the thing, and go downstairs. And like 2 weeks later, my family was away in Poland. They were visiting their relatives in Poland. And I was home alone for 3 fucking weeks, like pure freedom. And I forget something in the house again, because it happens. We're human. We're imperfect men. And I go in the house, and it was just sneakers I had on. I could just slip on and off. And it was again upstairs, and I had to go get something. I start walking up the stairs. I'm like, "Yeah, stop me now, you little demon child." And I'm walking up the stairs, and halfway up the stairs, I'm like, wow, what a fucking loser I am, that just because I'm here alone, I think it's okay for me to go up the stairs. Like, so at that point I was like, that shit stops now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a believer that butterfly effect will send that signal and send my kids on a complete different trajectory. If I'm telling them one thing and doing the opposite, even though I know that I did it, they don't know I did it. I know it, but knowing it is not enough, because we're men and we'll make fucking excuses and we'll justify everything. We'll say, well, it's okay for me because I know that I'm doing it only for this reason. She needs to learn it a different way. It's bullshit. We will justify anything. A man will cheat on his wife and justify that. "Oh, I slipped and dick fell inside of her." It's crazy. We will justify anything. And so I'm a believer that universe will send that signal to my kids. And if I'm saying not do it, don't be a freaking fraud, and be a man of your word. Make a promise and keep it.
Yeah. It's kind of like you have to respect yourself first. If you can't even respect yourself enough to keep a promise to yourself, why should anyone else follow? Why should they respect you? Why should they trust you? So I love that example. It's something as simple as just shoes up the stairs, right? But yeah, don't be a hypocrite. Lead by example. Do what you say they need to do, right? It's simple. It's just not easy.
Which earns you the right to then enforce those rules. Like
Correct.
You set the standard. You have to live the standard and then enforce the standard. Men just nowadays, they want to just enforce the standard, which they didn't even set. If they did set, they probably didn't set it with clear enough communication, and it was not set the right way. And then they're not even living it at all, but then they want to enforce it. Like, that's a fraud. And even your kids especially can smell a fraud from a mile away.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're always watching. They see what you do. So Steve, what, you kind of alluded to it, right? Men will make excuses. They're kind of getting in their own way. I think there's a lot of cultural influences that are kind of making that. And, I've heard people say, like, today men are weak. I think in some respects, I think men are just mostly distracted today. I think they're the most distracted generation of men maybe ever that's ever walked the earth, right? There's just so much stupid stuff that just bombards your brain every day. What are Steve's top 3 tips to cut through all the crap and to start living a more productive life for men, and then maybe a little bit for fathers too, but I think it starts with being a better man first.
Yeah. And I think, and as you said, is it weak men, or is it soft men, or is it just distracted men? And I think that's the problem in this world is in the country, is there's fatherless homes lead. And then that used to be the biggest thing. And then it became, even fathers that are in the homes are lacking presence. That's why I love the name of the podcast, the present father. And they're just not intentional. So the first thing is be intentional about everything. Like, everything is done for a purpose. Like, be where you are. Leave your fucking work at home is like the number one thing that I think men struggle with. They take their work home with them, and they're stressed, and their face is buried in their phone, and they're distracted. It's a distraction. Exactly. And they need to be intentional. They need to cut this bullshit out. Like, set some boundaries. So be intentional is the first thing. Set some boundaries. Like, have the boundaries for yourself, but you need to live them so you can then enforce them. I can't tell my kids to not have their face buried in the screen if my face is buried in the screen all the time. So the intentionality is huge. Like, everything is with a purpose. Like, when we're done with this, I'll be outside with my kids playing with the dogs out in the sun while we still have a little sunlight, and there'll be nothing out there. If my phone's out there, it's just for us to shoot a video or record or something with the dogs doing something funny, and that's it. And we're going to be just only out there. We're barefoot in the grass, having fun in the sun, laughing, playing. So the first thing, intentionality is huge. Set boundaries. And that's the last other piece right there that just pops in my mind is men forgot how to have fucking fun. They don't know how to have fun anymore. Everything is stressed, negativity, always having anxiety, always bouncing around like a fucking gerbil, and they want a quick, short win, and there's no delayed gratification. They want instant gratification. They're resentful, and they forgot how to have fucking fun. Like, I'll be out there with my kids acting like a big ass kid, and that's why I'm always getting stupid injuries, because I do stupid shit with my kids because I'm acting like a kid and I'm damn near 50 years old, but I don't care. We went to a skate park and my knee is all jacked up. It's been over a month because I belong nowhere near a fucking skate park. My daughter wanted to go, so we went, and I just fucking stumbled and tripped, not even doing anything crazy yet. But it's worth it. I'll take a torn freaking ACL to go have fun with my daughter in the skate park. I don't care. I'd rather my kids be falling out of a tree and breaking their leg than sitting on the couch buried in their phone, looking at all this negativity and getting brainwashed or whatever. So have fun. Like, men forgot to have fun. They forgot that it's like their role is first. Like, be the one that your family looks up to, that they look as the role model that they want to follow. Like, earn that right for them to follow you. Like you were saying, you have to earn that right, and have some freaking fun. We forgot how to have fun. We just, even when we're with our kids, we're not having fun. They're not laughing. They're not smiling. They think they're doing it just to check the box. And their kids could feel when you're not into it, when they're just throwing the ball and looking around and you're distracted mentally and you're thinking about work and money. Like, fuck that shit. Like, on your deathbed, your kids are not going to give a shit about all these other things when it comes down to it. Like, no one on their deathbed ever said, oh, I wish I would have worked a little more. I wish I would have spent a little less time with my kids. I wish I would have got more likes on Instagram and social media. Like, no one's going to give a shit about that stuff on your deathbed. You're just going to want your family there talking about the memories and the experiences. Like, so have some fun, create memorable experiences that on your deathbed, it's like weeks of them sitting at your deathbed and just keeping you alive just because they're talking about experiences and lighting you up. And remember the time we did this, and they remember what they were wearing and what music was playing on the radio when you were going to the place to go do the thing, and what they smelled in the air, like deep, rich, meaningful experiences. Like, it doesn't happen anymore. Men go through the motions. They do the bare minimum. They think they're checking the boxes, and they're not. It's like a father I saw in Disneyland. And he's walking with his daughter, and it's Disneyland. It's supposed to be the greatest place on earth, whatever you want to say behind the scenes in the company. It's supposed to be a happy, fun place. If I go there, I'm going to have fun with my kids. This guy's walking with his daughter, and she has an ice cream cone, and it's literally pouring down her arm, just dripping down her arm. She's not even eating it. She's walking like a little zombie because her father is on the phone while they're walking, yelling at someone, arguing about some work, some business stuff, about some meeting. I don't know exactly what it was, and we're behind him for a good 5-6 minutes, and he's just on the phone the entire time, arguing with someone about work and business. And this girl is just sad, lonely, depressed, holding her father's hand. And he thinks he's doing the right thing. Oh, he took his kids to Disneyland. That is not the intentionality. That's not a present father.
Yeah. It's a good point, man. I love the point about the fun, just from my own life, right? I'm a very intense individual. Steve, I think we'd be close friends if we lived near each other. We're very intense individuals. Maybe that's why we both joined the military. But man, I'm just always that intense with my family, right? In my marriage. And then as a father, like, everything was like super intense all the time. And like, I learned too late that chill, man. Like, everyone's feeding off of your energy. You're setting the tone. You're setting all this stress and anxiety, and this, this household is just on the brink of explosion all the time. Like, it starts with you. You chill, you be more stoic, you calm things down. And then, like, just to watch my wife and daughter react positively to me being more calm and gentle and compassionate and understanding, all these things that we typically don't associate with being masculine, right? Our life is significantly better when I started owning that and accepting accountability from guys like Brandon and others teaching me, like, hey, dude, chill out. Stop being such an idiot.
I
That's
love
such a great
chill
point.
before we get off that, just because it's making me think of it. Like, we literally have people think they see me screaming at someone on the internet that literally paid me to scream at them, but that's besides the point. And they think that that's just you and that's poor leadership and whatever else. We literally in our house, 2 to 3 days a week are literally called chill days. We have a family meeting, and we have kill days, which is days that we're going after it. We're working. There's no video games. There's no screens. We're just killing it. We're getting a week's worth of work done. Then we have skill days where we're working on improving our skills, our personal development, having family meetings, having team meetings, and all this other stuff. And then we have chill days. And that's exactly what it is. We have them every week, and you can't have the kill days without those chill days. You can't just keep kill. You'll be hunting every day, and you'll be catching a little mouse and maybe once in a while a rabbit, because you're always grinding, always intense and killing. It's impossible. But if you just do a kill day, a skill day, a couple of chill days, when it comes time to the kill day again, you're going to catch a fucking woolly mammoth or a great white whale or something. And it's going to make up for those chill days because you had the time off to recover, regenerate, connect with your family, have some fun. And then in that time, like I have the second part of Wednesdays, we have this meeting, but I'll have a little notebook on me and a pen, and I'll write down ideas, because on those chill days, the universe is going to download these ideas because you're detached. You're not in the weeds anymore. You're not just in the grind and hustling and grinding. I'll come up with tons of ideas and marketing campaigns, podcast episodes, whatever it is on those chill days. And then the kill days come and you go implement the shit that you thought of or came up with, or the clarity that you got in your journaling on the chill days, and it leads to massive freaking growth. I love you. We use the word chill because we literally have days on our calendar every single week called chill days.
I'm going to steal that, man. I like that.
And there's such a necessary balance that we have to set as fathers. So with intentionality, I have to be balanced. So a great example is, George is intense. Well, I'm a very, very overly calm, very regulated emotionally person. And so I'm kind of boring, right? And so I have to there are days where I have to purposely get goofy and just do wild things with my kids. Like you said, I have to put intentionality into the behaviors that are lacking to create that balance, because I can't just be this calm, stoic person that, is boring and that doesn't give the appeal of, hey, look, I'm really interested in what you're doing, kiddo. When my kiddo's doing something, I want to show them that I am excited, and I have to show that side of that balance. So there's intentionality there that's so important. So yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm not an intense person. So for me, I have to be intentional about my excitedness and my intensity. So.
Well, it's just, planning the fun, not taking yourself too seriously, right? And to your point, Steve, about the deathbed, I still remember when my great-grandfather died. I was 9, I think. And I remember this. We were at dinner after the funeral. The whole family's there. And his daughters got up and told this story about how one time he came in a room wearing nothing but a cowboy hat and some boxer shorts or something, and was pretending to lasso the furniture or something. And he just died. This is the stories they're telling, right? They're telling the stories about this man who lived to be almost 100 doing funny things, right? It wasn't he built businesses or he teach this or so to your point, the things that matter, it's those moments that we can create as fathers, as husbands, to find those chill days, the fun, and to plan it and make it intentional. That's the stuff that's going to stick with them forever, right? You're literally implanting memories into the people you care about, and they're going to never let that go. It'll be with them as long as they walk the earth. That's a powerful gift that we can give. Mm-hmm. But I think, to your point, we get so caught up in the rat race, we're withholding a lot of gifts to the people that matter to us when we fall into that trap.
Yeah. And I've found that, we constantly say no to this, no to that. So we have yes days. We schedule out yes days with our kids, and our kids are allowed to say yes within reasonable context to anything. And so hey, let's go get ice cream. Okay, let's go. Hey, I want pizza after that. Okay, let's go get pizza. I want to go do this at the arcade. Okay, let's go to the arcade, but they get those days where it just, like you said, it recharges them. It keeps a balance in life other than just this machine-like approach to every bit of your schedule, and so we try to break that monotony up with excitement and adventure, and who better to do it than with your kids, right? So
oh yeah, I love that. The yes day, I just wrote that down. And I know there was a movie on Netflix we watched one time called Yes Day. It was exactly that, where the parents had to agree with anything. I'll have to figure out how we're going to keep the limits of the boundaries, because if I give my kids a yes day, I don't even know, the whole fucking town will burn down. I don't know what'll happen out there. It'll be chaos out there. But I love that idea. I just wrote that down. It's something to dig into. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Sorry, kid, can't buy you a Lamborghini. Don't ask for that.
Yeah, there's obviously a cost and a danger limitation there. Yeah, but again, hey, look, that's sitting down and creating healthy boundaries with your kids too, right? So there's a lot of other ways you can teach your kids just through those opportunities there.
Yeah, the intent is great though. In my morning routine, I have a creed it's written for me. It's a living document, but I put things in there where it's either things I need to refocus on a consistent basis because they're a weakness, or it's the ideal version of myself I want to be for my family. And one of those things I put in there is I will tell my daughter yes more than I tell her no. And, and that's, again, don't take it out of context. But the point is, I want to have a heart of saying, yeah, kiddo, like, let's go do this thing, or yeah, I have time for you, or yes, you matter to me. That's really what the heart of it is. So it's not literally the things. If she wants this many things, I still say no to, like, hey, kiddo, no, we're not going to buy that toy. You don't need it, right? You've got 7 at home. You can be happy with what you have. But the intent behind that is, I want her to know in her core that she matters to me, and that, I will say yes to her on the things that matter, right? And so it's really easy to fall all the way into like Mr. Discipline and Mr. Intensity and Mr. Order and Structure. And then you've turned your kid into a shut down little robot at a time when they should be creative and joyful and exploring the world's boundaries. And you should be kind of helping them figure all that out. So it's just a word of caution to all the dads listening. But Steve, I'm sure you've got a lot of follow up to everything we just discussed.
No, I love that. Telling them yes more than you tell them no. And I think to that point that you can almost tell them yes to anything, because if you're leading them the right way, teaching them the right way, the right code and creed that you have, like your family core values that you have, they're going to know the boundaries already within of what they even should be expecting on that day. So I love that idea of that mantra of telling your kids yes more than no, because also know you've led them the right way, that you really don't have to worry about those crazy things that we're kind of joking about, because you've led them the right way and they have that right mind frame and they already probably stuck within those boundaries for the most part. So that's freaking cool. And like I said, I'm taking notes as we're on here. I'm here to learn and always get better every freaking day. I love it.
I love it, man.
So Steve, how do you create vision for your family? Like, what are some necessary steps that you've done as such a disciplined guy? What do you do? Like, do you have like short term? Do you have like some medium term and some long term goals? And like, how did you create those? Like, what was your way of creating those visions?
Oh, awesome question. And I think that's probably goes back to when we were talking about what some points for the men is, after the have fun and all the other things we were saying, is to create rituals, create family rituals. Like, we have our own lifestyle that we live. We call it our freak freedom lifestyle. And we have our own rituals. Like I said, the kill days, the skill days, the chill days, that's part of it. We have family meetings every Sunday. We have all 4 of us. We're together about 60 to 90 minutes. And it's a family meeting. We're going over we're going around the room for gratitude. What were our wins for the week? What were our lessons and struggles for the week? What's our upcoming priorities for the upcoming week? And then we talk about what events are coming up. We tap into our goals, like you just mentioned, and we set those goals on a yearly meeting. We have a yearly meeting every Thanksgiving break. We go up to Death Valley. That's another ritual. We go to Death Valley in California and we hike the sand dunes for Thanksgiving. And then we have a Thanksgiving dinner out there in the middle of the desert. And we have like a 3-hour family yearly meeting where we set our goals and our themes and intentions for the year. We talk about our goals for the year, but also our like end of the line, like big, huge, scary goals and dreams that we have and the lifestyle that we want to live. And then we check into those things each week and make sure we're in alignment with those things. And we set all kinds of fun, crazy family rituals. So like every day is like a different holiday in our house. Like today's a chill day, or today's a kill day. But then also today's a day that I'm having, like today, I had a meeting with both of my kids. They call it Professor Egghead. It's literally on our Google Calendar shared. They call me Professor Egghead, and they talk shit, and it's literally on our meeting. It says Professor Egghead meeting. When they both meet my wife, they call it Dr. Russia, because we call her the Russian, even though she's not from Russia. Like, we have our own ritual. So every day we know how to, like, the day's going to go. We know the rhythm of the week, the rhythm of life, and we're just living at this life together. So we create all these rituals and we create all the ways that we live and the ways that we operate, and we set those goals along the way too, and what we're looking to do and how we want to live, and we want our lifestyle to look like we now homeschool our kids for the last year and a half, and that was a goal. Before that was, we want even more freedom. We want to connect with our kids even more and get involved with them and take them when we travel. So we got an RV, so they go on road trips with us. They come with me whenever I travel for work or speaking or whatever. They participate in all the events. If I'm teaching something or coaching something, like they come and participate in that. So we connect regularly. It's the meetings that we have the family meetings, and that's where we set the goals and set the intentions and make sure that we are always in alignment with those longer term goals, the weekly goals, the yearly goals, and it's all connected to these different rituals we have. Like, we have a nerd day once a month. We have a nerd day. It's like a day where we don't do any work. It's all like watching smart Netflix documentaries, reading, doing online courses, listening to audiobooks. We're still going to work out. We're still doing our main daily disciplines, but we call it Nerd Day. We have a shooting day every month where we go make sure the whole family goes together, go shooting. We have a dog day where it's all about the dogs. We still do our main daily disciplines, but it's a day where we're just having fun outside, connecting with the dogs. Like every day we have a different theme, a different intention. There's once a month where we do an extremely early morning workout. We'll all get up at like 4 a.m, eat some oatmeal and a banana and go do a workout in the garage or go to one of the 24-hour gyms and do a workout. We have a late night workout we do. We have 24-hour workouts that we do every 3 months. It's always like something to look forward to. It just makes life exciting. It makes it fun. And we're not taking shit too seriously. Like they're literally on my calendar today. I could pull it up and share the screen and it'll see at 1:30 p.m. It was freaking Professor Egghead is on my calendar. I see that every week. Like how could I have a bad day when I see my my meeting coming up is me and just my 2 kids having a meeting called Professor Egghead. It's a time for us just to connect and talk and learn. And I have usually topics I want to go over with them, or they come in with questions or things they want to learn about. And we just talk and hang out. We talk shit, have fun. And it's freaking awesome. And all those different dynamics of meetings, depending on ages of the listeners' kids. Like I'll meet with both kids, but then I'll also have one-on-one meetings with my son. Then I'll have one-on-one meetings with my daughter, because that's a very different dynamic. Then when they're both together, that's a different dynamic. Then, of course, the whole family, all 4 of us. Then my wife also has a meeting with both kids, has a meeting one-on-one with each of them. So we're hitting every possible dynamic. And that's weekly, every week. Every one of those types of meetings is on our calendar, on our schedule. And it's fucking awesome. Like we know what's coming up each day. We know the rhythm of the day, how we need to show up each day because of these family rituals and family meetings that we have.
I love that, man. I love how detailed it is. Can you go into the decision to homeschool? Talk about, what was the motivation behind that? What were your fears about it maybe, or your uncertainties? How has it been since making that shift? Because I think, to avoid getting censored on YouTube here, a certain year in the last couple of years kind of made people realize maybe we should shake things up a little bit. And I know that there's been a lot of momentum for people to move into more of a homeschool route for their kids. And a lot of the common things I hear about is like, well, I just don't know where we're going to find the time or how we're going to manage, the money, if one of us can't work and things like that. So what were some of the things that you worked through? Obviously it's working well for you. So talk about that experience, because I think there's a lot of people on the fence are very interested in trying to make that a reality and just have a lot of fear about it. Right. And I think a lot of it is kind of fake. It's not, it's a false message that's been put out to kind of keep people
100%.
stuck.
And then that was me. We thought about homeschooling in our back of our minds for years, literally years, and seeing what they were learning in school and wasting their time when they had off from school and we're hanging out with them. We're like, this is so much cooler. We're like teaching them so much more. I would even cut my son out of school. Even he was in school. We lived in New York, and he'd take a week off from school and fly with me to California, and he'd help me run events when he was like 8 years old. He'd sit in the back of the room, write handwritten cards to each person coming to our events and show them to their seat with their name tag and all this stuff and doing things like that. I'm like, wow, I wish we could do this all the time. But I was a scared little bitch. Like all of us men, we have those fears. We have that little inner bitch that talks to you and lies to you and tells you these bullshit stories. And it's actually our mutual friend, Matt Boudreau, who really put me over the line with it. We ran a Squire program in North Carolina that he was a guest host for. It's a father-son program. And he was there. We were having dinner the night before. And I still didn't pull the trigger on it yet. We talked about possibly doing it. I was really getting close to doing it because it fit into we have an idea of the vision of the lifestyle we want to live as a family. And them having to go to school really killed that freedom, the overall freedom we want to have. Forget about getting into the politics and all that other stuff. And my son told me on the test, they had to say boy, girl, or non-binary on a test in third freaking grade or something. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And non-binary on a test. And we laugh about it. And I used to make the excuse. I said, well, we'll still keep sending you to school. So that's like where you could practice everything that I'm teaching you about. Like my son reads all the Stoic books I read, all the emotional intelligence books, all the Jocko books, and all these different books, Way of Men. And he's read them all and listens to them all. So we say, all right, that was my excuse, how I justify it, because we'll justify anything. I knew I didn't want him in school, but I'm too scared. I'm being a little bitch to pull the trigger because of all the things you mentioned. And I would say, well, I'm going to send you to school still so you can go practice the things we're talking about. That's like your training ground. That was my bullshit little bitch way of justifying it. And that's exactly what I was being, a scared little bitch and kid thinking I couldn't make it happen. And I asked Matt, I was like, what is the downside to homeschooling? And if homeschooling is so great, why do more people not do it? And what's the downside? Why are public schools even still around? And he broke it down this way. And after that, it's like I was sold on it. He told me that the only downside to homeschooling is if you're a shitty parent. If you're a shitty parent, you absolutely should send your kids to public school. They're going to be better off. I was like, he's like, well, are you a shitty parent? I'm like, and he isn't getting anything out of it, but he sold me like literally. We left for Death Valley that next day after that program. And while we were in Death Valley, we sent a letter to the school, an email to the school, said our kids are never coming back. We sent a letter to the state of California, said we're taking over full responsibility of our kids' education. And that's what it's been ever since, because we knew the level of freedom we want to have. Plus the things they're teaching them, they're wasting their time. Like my son now, he's helped me create this amazing online fitness training program that he did like 75% of the work that we did together. And he understands the whole process of training and fitness. And he's starting his own like youth fitness training program with other homeschool kids. He runs a Zoom workout and he has a full online program that he created on Google Sheets with the drop downs, like amazing high level personal trainer, better than any workout program that's even out there. And he helped me create this thing. The two of us just grinded it out, and never would have been able to do that stuff if he was homeschooling, because he actually came with me on a trip to Tennessee. I was running a workshop in Tennessee where there was shooting and fighting and speakers and personal development. It was like a 3-day thing. He wasn't in school, so he was able to fly with me there on the plane ride. We came up with this idea for this fitness training program. We started mapping it out on paper, started working on it, and that whole trip, and then 3 weeks straight of like staying up till 3-4 in the morning together, built this thing out. And it's an amazing program that all my clients are on the fitness side. Wouldn't have happened if he was in school learning about how heavy is the biggest blue whale, or what's the size of a fucking T-Rex's claw or something.
Or what's
that's going to be useless
of this country. And it's like, okay. I mean, I see some of the stuff my daughter's doing, and I'm like, why? What are we doing? What are we doing here? How old is your son?
He's 12 now, about to turn 13.
He's 12 years old, and he's already operating a business successfully, built it from the ground up. So he now has this idea in his head that I can do this, right? Man, I'd kill for that experience. Like I'm 35 and starting my business,
He's built out the sales pages and the funnels and the opt-ins and the upsells, and he records the videos himself. And he was just on his first podcast just yesterday. Some guy from Germany reached out that I was on his podcast, and he was a guest on this dude's podcast live. It was an Instagram live, couldn't even be edited. So he was 12 years old. I was like, shit, when I was 12, hell no, I'm not going to speak on no camera.
Right.
With anyone. Definitely not live. Definitely not from international, from someone in another country. And this little shit just hopped on there and just had fun with it. It was freaking awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I think right there, that's the example, right? That is why you should consider it. So if you're listening to this and you've been on the fence, like everyone I've talked to who's made the transition has not regretted it. I think there's a lot of fear mongering around it. It's something I'm still wrestling with myself, and maybe I am, to your point, being a little bit of a bitch here and need to put some stuff in place. But, I think ultimately it's our responsibility as fathers, right? Like at the end of the day, it's your family, it's your legacy, it's their upbringing. You got to make that choice. You got to step in and make a difference. And, I've thought a lot about that. I travel for work with what I'm trying to build here. I expect to travel a good amount too. And I'm like, man, how awesome would it be if I can bring my whole family with me everywhere we go, and every stop we go and like explore the history. Like we live in the South, right? So there's tons of history here, Civil War battlefields, all that kind of stuff. We could go do that all the time. I'm like, how much more is my daughter going to learn interacting with all these different parts of our country and other people and seeing things unfold? How much more valuable is that moving from, adolescence to adulthood, as opposed to like a curriculum?
Yeah. And that's what was valuable too, the traveling and the history, but even more than that, the time that he's going to spend with you, your kid, or that your kid's going to spend with you in the traveling and not being in school. Who better to teach them how to be a man, how to operate, how to think for themselves than you? No one is better qualified. We ship them out to school for 8-9 hours a day for 12, 13 years, and then another 4 years in college. There's someone else raising our freaking kids for us. It's nuts. So who better than you to teach your kid and raise your kid?
Yeah. I love that point that Matt Boudreaux says all the time, where parents are the primary educators, period. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. We have been conditioned to think that it's someone else's responsibility, or that they are more qualified to train your children. And it's like, no, you are their parents. You know, human beings were trained by their parents pretty much only for most of human existence. So unless you're going into specific fields like needing to be a doctor or something like that, where you need a lot of formalized training, most of life is taught in the doing, not in a building, right? So we can maybe move on from that, but I just thank you for sharing your experience with that, Steve. I think it's helpful for probably a lot of people who are on the fence about it, and it sounds like it's working very well for you guys. Clearly, your son is really capitalizing on that opportunity, and I'm excited to kind of see how his story unfolds here as he becomes a young man. And you know, he's probably outperforming me already in terms of business, so that's pretty epic.
Well, so I think one thing I want to jump into, you have such a pursuit of excellence and you have this great grand pursuit of vision and you're executing it so well with your family. But what I want to find out is how do you find balance with all of that for your own self-care and compassion towards yourself?
It starts off with, like anything else, taking care of yourself first. Like, I need to take care of myself first so that I'm able to take care of everyone else. Now, I think there's a fine line between selfish and selfless. Some men are Mr. Nice Guy and they take care of everyone else and they put themselves last, and they're unhealthy and they're fat and out of shape and not spending enough time in the ways that they should, not taking care of themselves. So they're actually showing up as a half-assed version of themselves. That's completely selfless, which we don't want to be on that end of the spectrum. But then there's also the selfish end. We think, all right, I need to be the one, and I need to take care of myself first. So now there's guys who will go and train for a marathon, and they're running their 20, 30 miles a week, and then they go to jiu-jitsu class 4 times a week, and then also want to go to the gym, and then they still want to hang out with the boys, and they want to watch a football game because, I need to take care of myself first so I can take care of the family, and they go too far into that. So blending those two together, being selfish, but I call it self-synergy. It's blending the two between the selfish and the selfless, and that's taking care of myself first, but not to the extreme where I'm neglecting the family and the team. And really that starts off in the morning with my morning routine. I'm getting up early. I don't need to get up super early. Usually 5 a.m. is as early as I need to get up. If it's another day where we had a real late night, I'll get up at 6:30 if I have to. And that morning time is like, that's gold. Like, after that morning routine, I can't have it's hard to have a bad day because I'm so locked in and focused. I've cleared my head. I've done the meditation. I've done the journaling, the writing, a quick little motivational reading on some Stoic philosophy, clearing my head, just hardening yourself and preparing yourself and getting ready for the day, tapping into the priorities for the day. What do I have coming up? How do I need to show up for these different events coming up for the day? What's coming up with my kids? What type of day is it? Is it a kill, skill, or a chill day? What kind of flow is going to be throughout this day? What do I have to look forward to? What potential roadblocks could be? And this is all done in that first hour of the day that I have. I'm set after that. I am good after that. Then I'll go into my deep work for the day, usually after that. After the deep work, hit the gym. I could be done for the day after that if I want to. Of course, I'm not going to be. We're hustlers, we're grinders, we want to make shit happen. But it's taking care of yourself first, just enough so that you can take care of your people the best and show up as the best father as you can. Because I think the difference is between that selfish and selfless. This country is severely over-mothered and under-fathered because we think we need to go work and we need to go do all this other stuff, and we are not freaking fathering. We are men. We were created literally to be fathers. Like, that is I think, our main purpose. And I think any man that doesn't have kids struggles with this and is unable to show up in his life with that sense of purpose and keep that fire lit and that motivation. He's not able to be, I call it the flame keeper. He's not able to be the flame keeper because there's no one there to keep the flame alive for. He can still find purpose in other ways and be a father to other young men and a mentor. Of course, there's other ways, but it's not going to be the same. Like, men are meant to make babies. And there's the last stage of the problem. I just realized in this last men's program we just ran, it was nuts. Started with 19 men. And by the time we had 12 men left, because the other ones had quit already, it was 11 or 12 men left. Not one of them had a kid. And we never had that happen before. It was wild. And I started going into it and really deeply researching into it and realized first it was fatherless homes. Then it was absent fathers in homes, meaning they're in the home, but their mind is elsewhere. So that's useless also. But now men are even afraid to have kids. They're not even fathering. They're afraid to be fathers. And on top of that, not only are they afraid to be fathers, they're showing up as this half-assed version of themselves, either completely selfish and just worried about themselves, or selfless and putting everyone else Mr. Nice Guy. And the women are like, hell no, I don't want that man to have my baby.
Right.
And it's become the next almost epidemic is not becoming fathers. So I think that's our purpose and job in life, but we need to take care of ourselves first so that we could take care of our people with, and not taking care of ourselves so much that it's neglecting the people. Find that synergy.
Man, you hit on something that I said I think just a few episodes ago was I actually question a man who's in a leadership position who doesn't have kids. Like, I just don't think you can be the leader that you have the full potential to be if you don't have a family. Like, there's just something that unlocks for virtually 99% of men or more, maybe, that once you've got kids, you view every position of authority way different. Like in my own experience, I was a way better company commander because I had a family than I would have been if I didn't have one. Like, I had way more empathy, way more understanding, way more ability to like see the bigger picture and not get spun up over stupid stuff. And I mean, you were really driving that point home right there. And I know a lot of people probably don't like me saying that. But I point blank just think it's true. I think there's exceptions to that rule. I think there are some pretty exceptional people who don't have kids, or maybe they can't have kids for like a medical. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about for most of us who are just mere mortals trying to get through this life.
It's even hard to take advice from someone that doesn't have kids, like business advice or people. And
it's hard to relate.
There's like Alex Hormozy. Sure, he's a very successful marketing guru. Was talking about, no, my life is just work. All right, well, when do you spend time with your kids? Well, he doesn't have kids. So I could take some bits and pieces from that, but you don't have kids. There's only a certain amount I can listen to, because go have some kids and be present with them and actually lead them and follow them the way that you should. And it's going to change the game. It's going to be a whole different story. Like, I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars from decisions that I made because I'd rather just go and hang out and twist my knee with my kids rather than go to some opportunity that I know is going to be neglecting my kids. Like, I will pass on that shit all the time.
Yeah. So that's a great segue to the question of legacy, right? Like, what do you think legacy is? How would you define it? And why should men fight to build a legacy, especially fathers?
Yeah. Awesome question. And I think most men usually get the idea of legacy wrong. They think it means make a bunch of money, build a house, build a business, pass the family business down to their kids so their kids don't never have to work a day in their life, and they have it all wrong. To me, legacy is nothing even about the future. The legacy, and it's perfect that you're asking it on the Present Fathers podcast. Legacy is like literally for me is today, this minute, like right now is my legacy. Nothing else exists. I could go drop dead tomorrow and get hit by a truck tomorrow. So I can't, I'm going to build a legacy to this and this. That may never happen because I could be dead before that happens. Who knows? My legacy is today. My legacy is us going to play out with those dogs right now. I'm going to play with those dogs like a motherfucker. I'll go rip another knee in half. I don't care. That's my legacy. So if I'm dead tomorrow, they're like, that was an awesome dude. He knew how to have fun. He took care of us. He freaking, like, I'm going to die doing something stupid, I'm sure. Like, that's my legacy. I'm not going to wait for the cool thing to happen. Like, I'm going to be so intentional and present and diving into, like, right now, this moment, that if today is my last day, it's not going to be like I went out on a day that I was half-assing or feeling down and depressed and not present with my kids and brush them off because I'm stressed. Like, fuck no. Legacy is now. Legacy is presence. Legacy is the intentionality we've been talking about this whole time. That's all there is to legacy. All we have is the right fucking now. Fuck the past. Fuck the future. Forget your goals, your legacy. The goal is the minute, the second, this moment, like right now, that they're going to remember, that I'm going to remember, and there's my legacy. And then tomorrow, I'm going to rebuild the legacy again and again and again. I'm not going to think about the big grand pictures out there. Yeah, I have those goals, those massive goals and dreams, but that's not my legacy. That's the byproduct. That's the bonus. If I get there, when I get there, that's just the cool extra shit. Legacy's right now, motherfucker. Like, that's what I'm worried about.
Man. Boy, I tell you, I've never heard anyone define it like that. And you just exploded my brain right there. I'm going to have to go reevaluate how I feel about the word legacy now. I love that perspective.
I can tell you, Steve's definitely not a leaky man. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. Tomorrow's not promised. You know, this is all we have right now, the right now. Man, what a healthy way to look at it too, because you'll treat every moment with that much more, value, right? It has a higher, there's more at stake for you in the moment because you don't have tomorrow. Right. Man, what a great way to look at that. And I want to just follow up on one thing. You referenced the program. I assume it was the Modern Day Night program. Can you quickly tell us a little, I know you've been with that for quite a while, right? Supporting that. And it's one of the ventures you're going on, but talk about what that is accomplishing, what the point of it is. And then to your point that you made earlier about all these guys who didn't have kids, like were the only guys who made it through, they had a family?
No, the only ones even that were even showed up at that, like that was the first class we ever had that didn't have kids. Like it just
No
happened.
one had kids.
So it ended up being only 7 graduates and none of them had kids because the last 12 that were there didn't have kids. And I started realizing like, holy, men are just, they are. And people like, well, that the Monday Night Project is just for soft, weak little bitches and whatever else. And I'm like, you are right. That's what it is for. And we're helping them out. Of course it's for them. Like that's not an insult. And they understand that too, is why they're showing up and we're together discovering this shit and figuring this, helping them figure this stuff out and just administering it onto them so they can figure it out. It's like you do with your kids. It's the same thing. And yeah, I've been with the project for the last 5 years. I'm one of the co-founders of it. We started it together, and we have a final class coming up in October because we've shifted now into the fathers and sons because it's had such a huge impact. And really the project is our side. It's called the project because it's really our side project. It's people think it's this money. They say it's a money grab because it costs all this money. We make no profit on this thing. It is our passion project because we love doing it. We have a blast doing it, and we see the transformations. Like I didn't get a tattoo until I was 41 years old, and it's right there on the top of my hand, a logo of the project. My wife thought it was a joke. It was that, and then my pit bull Tyson on the other hand. I showed up one day at 41 years old with these 2 tattoos. She's like, "Those aren't real," because I never had a tattoo. I'm like, yeah, they are, and that's how much impact it had after just the first class because I saw the impact it had on men. And we have tons of veterans that come through the program because they get out and they've lost the sense of purpose. They lost the sense of camaraderie and brotherhood. They don't know what to do. Their transition, I think, out of the military is hard, and they come in and we have some fun with it. And that's really the purpose is to kill the inner bitch, to help them unleash that man, that beast, that savage. We call it a savage servant that's within them. And that's really what it's all about. And it's been the transformations that we've had now with over 250 something graduates in the last 5 years, 19 classes. And I've been there for every second of every single one. It is a completely life-changing experience for these men. And it's our most, except for the father-son program, it's our most satisfying, fulfilling time of the year for us. Like it's a sacred thing. And it's freaking amazing to see what these men go through. If you saw some of the messages that the men send me afterwards or that their wives send me, I've had their sons send me things that, thank you for sending, like this woman, thank you for sending my husband back. I haven't seen this man for 20 years because he was just this lost soul, just dragging ass. And that's an active duty firefighter. And his wife is sending that mess afterwards, like shit like that. It makes it all worth it. It makes it like, I don't give a shit what anyone else has to say about it. I know the truth about it. I know what it's doing for these men. It's freaking amazing. And that's really the purpose of it, is to help, just really help these men find their way. And all we're doing is ministering the process for them so they can go through this journey and discovery and break down the bullshit stories they're telling themselves in the head and have these breakthroughs and these aha moments to start thinking a little differently. Like the fact that it costs $18,000. People are like, that's so expensive. You're ripping people off. You're just looking to get rich. We don't make shit off of this thing. The just insurance for each class is over $30,000. So even 2 people signing up barely covers that. Renting vans and overhead. And we use a private ranch, a private gym. Like people don't understand business. They don't understand how business works. And the people that come through are looking to get out of that fixed mindset. Like, imagine if you think the people talk about $18,000 like it's $1 million. Imagine if I can change, you can come out of here with a whole different perspective on life and a thinking bigger and get out of that fixed mindset and start thinking a life of abundance. That alone is worth $18,000 because you're trapped in this hellhole, this way that's limiting you in your life. And that's really what it's all about is helping them discover what's a trajectory they're looking to go on and make them even better husbands, fathers, leaders, and men.
Yeah. And what are some of the common, I want to kind of tie a bow on this before Brandon starts asking some more questions, but what are some of the common like weaknesses or like things that men are so stuck on that you're seeing consistently? Because, not all of us can just drop everything we're doing and go do a program, right? But what are some things that people listening to this right now can maybe take a hard look in the mirror and be like, yep, that's probably something I need to fix. What were those common traits you're seeing that guys need to get over through the program that maybe people listening can actually take some action on?
Yeah, awesome question. And it's always the same thing. And then 90% of the time, it's these three things in this order. And then there's the outliers, and I'll get into that. But it's the childhood daddy issues, usually the daddy issues, the lack of a positive male role model. 90% of the time. It's crazy how that's such an issue. We'll get men coming in 40, 50. Our oldest graduate was 60 years old, and it's the same thing. Daddy issues, lack of, and it's still affecting them to this day. So people in the comments also say, oh, these are just for little betas with daddy issues. Well, I don't use the term alpha and beta and all that other bullshit, but I'm like, you're right, it is. And I have daddy issues, and I've tried to kind of navigated through this, worked through it, and of course it is. It is. Every man comes there, and most men I know have daddy issues. And so the daddy issue is the first thing, which leads to the drugs and alcohol. And because we have one moment where we go into and we talk about what's the, if you, we create these avatars, and they talk about the bitch version of themselves, the worst version of themselves ever in their lives. And they think of an actual photograph that they have, and we have them talk about it, and they bring it and they explain the picture. It's always when they were fat, out of shape, drinking, cheating, stealing, doing stupid shit. They were high. There was drugs. There was drinking and alcohol, and they're out of shape and unhealthy. Always the lowest point of their life. It's that. So it's the daddy issues that leads to the drugs and alcohol, which then leads to the women and the relationship issues. Now they're divorced, and they only see their kids once a year, and their ex-wife moved with the kids. They don't see them. Like, it led from those freaking daddy issues they just didn't get over. And a lot of them go to therapy. They say, oh, well, you're not therapists. We're not there to be therapists. We're there just to administer this process for them, to let them discover this stuff themselves, to really just get over the bullshit stories they're telling themselves in their head that they've just been letting drag themselves down. A lot of them been through therapy, and a lot of them still go to therapy, but this is a total different thing. We're not attempting to be the military. Yeah. We're not attempting to be therapists. It's a personal development program. It's a men's leadership program, really, when it comes down to it. It's a fathering program.
Yeah. There's a simple fact that we've forgotten in our culture today, and it's that it's actually a Bible verse comes to mind, is that only another man knows the serpentine passages of your heart. And so when you have that environment, there's something that happens in men, and we see it in the military, right? We take it for granted. You talked about your experience in the Marine Corps, right? Like all those lessons after the fact, you're like, oh, dang, that stuff really works. Well, there's a reason. They created that environment on purpose. It wasn't accidental, right? You became a better version of yourself. You were honed into a more elite version of who you used to be because of that process, right? And so we normalize it in certain aspects, but in general, once you're outside of those, specific environments like the military or something, we just expect men to be, lone wolves and like have it all figured out, and it's just insane. Mm-hmm. But you need pressure from other men like that in a tight-knit community. And sometimes it's a drastic event like that where you need this like serious intervention. But if you maybe don't let yourself get that far, you can have a brotherhood around you currently that already provides that positive pressure on you to grow in the right direction. But just thanks for sharing all that, man. I think we've had lots of guests talk about the impact of a father and how it affects people. Mm-hmm. And to just hear that was like the number one issue for all these guys who are willing to pay a pretty good sum of money to go get beat up for 75 hours. That's pretty telling.
And that's the same issue across the board. Race, religion, sexual preference, doesn't matter. Whether they grew up poor, grew up rich, people who work a 9-to-5 job. We had an 18-year-old as the youngest to a 60-year-old he's in corporate America. He's not a millionaire. And we've had guys who come in who are millionaires, who run their own businesses, guys who are just still finding their path. We've had firefighters, police officers. We've had active duty military, paramedics across the board. It's the freaking daddy issues, the lack of a positive male role model. It's freaking nuts. And it's the real pandemic in the country and the world, really.
Yeah, and role models, especially fatherly role models, are so important. I know that you didn't have a father around, but what was a piece of like the best advice that you had ever heard from a father figure that just kind of changed the trajectory of your life there?
It's one of my earlier mentors. Something that comes to mind was, he told me, if you're going to put yourself out there, if you want to do big things, you better have thick skin. And again, this was that one I said was a personal training client, and he had a bunch of kids and was running a successful business. And meaning, don't be afraid to be yourself. And I say now, I'm going to wave my freak flag high in the sky, and it's going to attract the like-minded people who I'm meant to be on this journey with. And anyone who's not on board, it's going to repel those other people. That's fine. Go that way. Go somewhere else. and you're going to just have that mental toughness and emotional intelligence and the discernment to know who are your people, who are not your people. And that's what it really takes, is knowing, again, going back to what we said, knowing who you are and being proud of it, and not conforming and going with the masses and going with the mob, going against the mob. Even, like, who wants to go with the mob? I don't want to get a stuck in my arm with a thing, or have to put something on my face. I know you can't even say these things anymore. Like, the algorithms will cut you off. You can't even say it. And I don't want to be forced to do any of that stuff. Like, I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to attract like-minded freaks like myself. It's going to repel the people who I'm not meant to be on this journey through life with. And it helps you build that emotional intelligence, that mental toughness, that thick skin. So he told me, if you want to ever do anything or be something, work and make sure you have thick skin, and make sure you so that you can continue to be yourself, and you don't have to conform and go along with the crowd and the masses. And that's huge. And with my kids, that we talk about that all the time. That's like our way of doing things. Everything we do, we call it our freak freedom lifestyle, meaning we are going to be ourselves. We're going to march to the beat of our own drum. We're going to not do what makes other people happy. We're going to do what makes us happy, the way we want to live our lives, and not conform to the bullshit and society and the teachers and whatever else. And we're going to live life on our own terms.
It's good, man. I like that a lot. Final question. What's your, just like a core memory when someone asks you, what's like your favorite memory of being a dad, or kind of favorite experience you've had so far along the way? What comes to mind?
Oh man, we could be here for days going through this. There's so many. we work out. We train every single day, 7 days a week together. Like, I have a 12-year-old training partner, like we said. So just the way we connect and have fun, and all these different rituals that we talk about. And I talk about this. How I judge my success on a daily basis is not how many sales I had, how much money I made, or even how the workout was. I judge my success on when I come home, how fast are the footsteps of my kids running to me. And if it's machine gun footsteps coming running after me, I know it was a good day. If it ever became slow, which it hasn't yet, thank God, I know I better check myself and probably slipping up in some way. So it's seeing the excitement and the love that my kids have for me when sometimes I'm just, I just had a doctor's appointment. I have a hernia I have to get a surgery on. I was gone for like an hour and a half, and I come home and it's like I was gone for weeks. Like, that right there tells me, all right, I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
You think I'm going to give a fuck what some strangers on the internet are saying when I have these awesome little humans there that are just loving me up? Like, it's things like that. It's the little shit. Like you said, the cowboy dancing around in his underwear. It's all those moments, every one of them. We could be here for, sure, all of us could be here for days talking about the moments with our kids that just light us the fuck up. Like, we've done tons of these 24-hour challenges where we literally work out for 24 hours for fundraisers, and seeing my son when I'm broken, I am broken down. I want to fucking stop like 9-10 hours in, and knowing we still got 14 more hours to go, and seeing my kid keep doing it right next to me, a little fucking kid, like surpassing me on the numbers that we're doing also, and keeps running the dozens of miles and lifting hundreds of thousands of pounds of weights. It's nuts. Like, all those, we could be here all day talking about these moments, but I'd say in general, it's the response showing back up at home. Like, that's what it's all about. When the kids are just on a couch and they just look up and they're facing the screen. Oh, hey Dad, how was your day? Good. Like, fuck no, man. You're off track, partner.
Man, that's a great barometer, right? It's such a quick response in terms of whether or not you're doing the right thing. That's a great example. Thanks for sharing that one, man. Steve, where is the best place for people to find you? How can they support you? How can we help you connect with you? All that kind of stuff.
I'm a believer in faith and the way things are supposed to happen. Anyone that's meant to cross paths with, they're going to cross paths. It doesn't even matter. It's not even about this. Is about bringing value to your listeners. They probably could just type in, I don't know, asshole boot camp or something, and they could find me easily that way. I'm the asshole that everyone needs in their life, so I'm sure it's not hard to find me out there. I'm right here. So I'm a believer. I'm going to cross paths that I'm meant to cross paths with, and that's fine with me.
Well, I appreciate that, but I will definitely put your socials and stuff in the description of the video. And Steve, just any final thoughts you got for the audience before we close?
Yeah, men just need to have more conversations like this. Like, I could sit here all day with you dudes and chop this up. This is just awesome. And it doesn't happen enough. We sit and we suffer in silence. We scroll and troll on the internet, and we don't have real, deep, meaningful conversations where we're not only giving our opinion or talking, we're learning. Shit, I have a half a page of notes here just that I'm scratching down while we're talking, because I'm trying to get better every freaking day. I'm trying to always improve. So have these conversations, get around other like-minded people, get away from the negativity and the bullshit that people are dragging you down. Because when it comes down to it, you show up like that dude on the internet and you show up like that at work, and then you show up at home and you're dragging all that negativity into home. Your family is soaking it up. They see it. You can't hide it from them. They could feel energy is a real thing. Vibrancy is a real thing. And your wife, when it comes down to it, is not looking for another son. She's looking for a fucking husband, a man, a leader, a father.
That's right. Man. All right, dads, you heard it here. Steve closed perfectly. So with that, enough talk. Let's get climbing. We will see you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Present Fathers Podcast. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify to catch all of our amazing episodes. We will see you in the next one.